Became a wife.
My friend Dominic kindly agreed to be our interview person this month for How to Be a Writer series. So this is an occasional series we have with writers who are perhaps a little further along on their journey than some of us are, myself, for example. And we get to ask them a couple of questions about being a writer. You've been writing and have been published since 1966. Did you always know you wanted to be a writer, or how did you get your start?
When I was about 9 years old, and I'm going to say,
Holy moly!
I read Essay Pure by James Joyce. Of the still dark past a child is born. With joy and grief my heart is torn. Still in the cradle the newborn lies. May love and mercy unclose his eyes. O Father forsaken, forgive your son. And I read Emily Dickinson's I Am Nobody. Are you nobody too? And I was about 9 years old, and I told my father that I wanted to be a writer. Ah, go on with you, I'll give you a clip in the clop. But he went downstairs and he got all of the Hardy Boys, all of Nancy Drew, a couple of books by Henry Gregor Felsen, and something I probably should have been reading was the Studs Lonergan trilogy by James T. Farrell. And I've been off to the races ever since. My first poem was published when I was like 13 years old at Mark Twain Junior High School. The sea, the sand, and Rebecca. Her little footsteps in the Coney Island sand. I'm not sure exactly what love is, but she sure makes me feel grand.
At 9 years old, you gotta be kidding me!
That was pretty impressive.
Jiminy Cricket!
Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt discouraged in your journey as a writer, and what did you do about it?
I think discouraged is my middle name. I've never been sure of, it's like, I've always been told that I have a talent. And I refer to that story where there was 10 talents given and only one came back to thank. So I always want to be that one. And I got pretty discouraged in 18 months in combat. But I found out later I had been writing letters back from Vietnam. This is amazing. Wait, there's a woman who just found me on Facebook and says that her mother has all of my letters from Vietnam and she's going to send them to me. And that was 1963 to 1965.
How cool.
So I get discouraged. And you know, I'm going to say something here in front of everybody. I had completely given up on writing. And Karina came to me one day in a secret club we belonged to and did everything but just about smack me in the back of the head and say, look, you're going to come with me tonight. We're going to go to this poetry group. And how she knew, I don't know, but she did. And that was what? That was like 6 years ago. And I haven't stopped since. But I've been published in about 25 anthologies, and I just coasted on that. And I've done readings with Ishmael Reed, Victor Hernandez Cruz, Gary Schneider, Ann Waldman, Ted Berrigan. I've been with a lot of really high-class poets, but I have another genetic problem. I'm a hope-to-die alcoholic and drug addict.
All right.
So I had a long time of In fact, August the 4th, I celebrated 31 years sober.
All right.
And having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, I seek to carry this message. And then I have to always wonder, what is the message? And the message is again from Emily Dickinson. I dwell in possibility. And
all right.
He had spent his life in a panga in the Gulf. It had been 83 days since Santiago took a fish. Now, Ernest Hemingway says, to write one gun sentence and follow with another. And then advice given to writers is write what you know. And at this time next year, I will be teaching at Rhodes University in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. I've been given a grant by Chris Saxmussen, who's there right now doing that. And how could I write about Africa? And then I thought to myself, Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote Tarzan, and he never been to Africa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare this year. I have been back to Vietnam 3 times, and I was the visiting poet at the University of Hanoi in 2002. Dato Bekdom, and I speak Vietnamese with a mountain yard accent. And it cracks them up. But I think I worked 43 years as a mechanic, and I busted my ass. And one day I just closed the hood on a car and said, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. And now I've got a nice little house and I can spend the time. But I find that, like any other craft, and the problem that people have is, and Neil Gaiman said this better than anybody. Neil Gaiman said, write a story and put it in a drawer and don't look at it for 3 months. Just forget about it. Because if you're like me, you're your own worst critic. So, and my next book to come out will come out September 15th, and it's called Blood on Stained Glass. And the first book that I published with this Danish publisher was called Iconic Whispers. And I have a degree in, of all things, 2nd and 3rd century Roman saints. And I've written books about saints, and I know saints that some of you have never heard of. Saint Dalmatius of Pavia, Saint Sebastian of Kilam. I know about Saint Barbara and Saint Agatha and Saint Bridget. And Blood on Stained Glass is a treatise on all of the abuse in religion. I love God. I hate religion. So I got in a little bit of trouble with my priest, who's my friend, and I'm going to publish it anyway. And my next book after that, that comes out on my dead brother's birthday, is called The Mango Gang. And it's something I've never done before, and I call it pain fiction. So what do I know about? I know about being shot. I know about being stabbed. I know about being thrown out windows. I know about being incomprehensibly demoralized. And I've overcome a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. So, if indeed this was a gift from God, I'm responsible for the effort, and God's responsible for the results. But the results only come one blank piece of paper at a time. You can't catch a grouper sitting home on your pooper, and you can't write a book looking at an empty page.
I'm incredibly proud to say that we're publishing one of Dominic's poems in our next False Key anthology. It's an honor for us to include his his poetry. So thanks again, Dominic.